In 1930, in the quiet city of Omaha, Nebraska, a boy was born into a world of uncertainty. The Great Depression was at its peak. Families struggled to make ends meet, jobs were scarce, and hope often felt like a luxury. This boy's name was Warren Edward Buffett. Few could have imagined that the child growing up in modest surroundings during one of America's hardest economic times would one day become one of the richest men on earth and the most admired investor of all time. From his earliest days, Warren showed signs that his life would be different. While other children spent their time playing games in the yard, Warren found himself fascinated by numbers and the idea of money. He was only 6 years old when he discovered the power of buying and selling. With a few coins in his pocket, he bought a six-pack of Coca-Cola from his grandfather's store. He didn't drink them. Instead, he carried the bottles around the neighborhood and sold each one for a small profit. It was a lesson that stayed with him forever. Money could grow if you were willing to think differently. By the age of 11, Warren had saved enough to buy his very first stock. He chose a company called City Service Preferred, buying 3 shares for himself and 3 for his sister. The stock was priced at $38 a share. Almost immediately, the price dropped to $27. Warren panicked, but he held on. A few months later, the stock rose to $40, and he sold quickly to lock in a small profit. At first, he felt proud, but then something happened that left a permanent scar. The same stock continued to rise, eventually reaching $200. In that painful moment, Warren learned a lesson that would shape his entire career. Patience matters more than panic. The real rewards belong to those who wait. As a teenager, Warren was no ordinary boy. He delivered newspapers on multiple routes, waking up before dawn to ensure every house received its paper. He sold magazines, chewing gum, and even installed pinball machines in barbershops, splitting profits with the shop owners. By the time he graduated from high school, Warren had already saved $5,000, a small fortune for a teenager in the 1940s, worth tens of thousands today. But Warren wasn't just earning money. He was studying it. He read every book on business and investing he could find. In the public library of Omaha, he discovered a book that would change his life forever, The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. The book introduced him to the concept of value investing, the idea that one should buy stocks not because their prices were moving, but because the businesses behind them were solid, profitable, and undervalued. Warren was mesmerized. He had found his blueprint. Hungry to learn more, Warren enrolled at Columbia Business School, where Benjamin Graham himself taught. Sitting in Graham's classroom, Warren absorbed every word. Graham was cautious, disciplined, and deeply logical in his approach. He taught Warren that the stock market is like a voting machine in the short term, but a weighing machine in the long term. True value would always reveal itself if one had the patience to wait. After graduation, Warren worked for Graham's firm in New York. It was here he learned discipline, the art of sticking principles even when others panicked. But Warren also noticed something. Graham's method focused only on numbers, not on the quality of the businesses or the character of the people running them. Warren believed there was more to investing than balance sheets. He wanted to own not just cheap companies, but great companies. This shift in thinking would set him apart from every other investor. In 1956, Warren returned to his hometown of Omaha. At just 26 years old, he started his own partnership with 7 investors, pooling together just over $100,000. Warren himself invested only $100, but his investors trusted him. With quiet confidence, he began buying undervalued companies, and his partnership outperformed the market year after year. By the early 1960s, Warren Buffett's reputation had spread far beyond Omaha. People called him brilliant, but Warren insisted that it wasn't brilliance. It was patience, discipline, and sticking to the rules. Then came the company that would define his empire, Berkshire Hathaway. In 1962, Berkshire was a struggling textile mill, bleeding money and losing relevance. Warren began buying shares, thinking it was a simple value play. But over time, Berkshire became something more. Warren took control of it and transformed it from a failing textile company into a holding company, a vehicle through which he could invest in businesses he believed in. Slowly, he began acquiring companies and shares in businesses he understood deeply. insurance companies like Geico, food and beverage giants like Coca-Cola, credit card firms like American Express, later, technology powerhouses like Apple, and even simple pleasures like Dairy Queen. His philosophy was simple: buy wonderful businesses at fair prices, not fair businesses at wonderful prices. Through the decades, Warren's fortune grew, but so did his reputation for wisdom. His annual letters to shareholders became legendary, filled not with jargon, but with humor and common sense. People called him the Oracle of Omaha, not just for his wealth, but for his uncanny ability to see value where others could not. Despite his billions, Warren lived simply. He stayed in the same house he bought in 1958 for just $31,000. He drove himself to work. He enjoyed McDonald's breakfast and Coca-Cola. He never owned yachts, private jets, or mansions in exotic places. To Warren, wealth was never about luxury. It was about freedom, security, and the ability to make a difference. And make a difference, he did. Warren pledged to give away more than 99% of his fortune to charity. Alongside his friend Bill Gates, he launched the Giving Pledge, encouraging other billionaires to commit the majority of their wealth to improving humanity. He believed that money, when used wisely, could plant seeds that would grow shade trees for generations to come. Today, Warren Buffett is admired not just for his fortune, but for his character. His climb to success wasn't built on quick schemes, reckless risk, or luck. It was built on patience, discipline, humility, and the courage to think differently. His life is proof of one powerful truth: success is not about speed. It is about consistency. Warren once said, "Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago." His life has been about planting trees, not only for himself, but for millions of others. The boy who once sold bottles of Coca-Cola door to door became the greatest investor in history, one of the wealthiest men alive, and one of the most generous givers the world has ever known. And his story leaves us with a lesson we can all apply. True wealth is not how much you have, but in how much patience, discipline, and vision you bring to your journey. So wherever you are today, whatever your circumstances, remember Warren Buffett, the boy from Omaha who became the Oracle of Omaha. His climb to success was slow, steady, and unstoppable. And yours can be too.